It's about right. So that'll be my first one.
It's a place that
Better. Oh yeah. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode. This episode we're actually doing the decor prep, and I'm actually going to do something that I've never done before, which is do voiceovers, because I don't know exactly how they do it whenever they're actually editing it, because it makes sense for me to actually watch the clip and, you know, do like here you're gonna actually take the sand, you're gonna open it up and do this and that, but while you're speaking, I mean, you can cut up your audio, but I think it'd be a little bit. So what I did was I already made a few little edits, a few little cuts right here. This is just getting you into the editing game, but essentially I just make those cuts, and I'm gonna just say, yeah, here I'm washing it, and then you lean it over to just get the floating particles out, and then you lift up and then you rinse again. So that's essentially how it's gonna go, because I'm explaining the process in it, but I'm trying to catch up with my content. I'm trying to dish these videos out. It's almost like having something to do and it's not done yet. That's exactly how I feel about these videos, because some interesting stuff's happening in the tank right now, but I'm just not keeping it. Although a lot of the crap, not the crap, but although a lot of the content that I have delivered has been a little out of sync, the timeline isn't exactly linear. I want to kind of make that happen now, because it's almost like a diary. That's why I'm doing this stuff, to document my experience and share it with you, because I'll learn things along the way. And so with this episode, we'll get started with it, and it's just going to be talking about the sand, the wood, and the plants. And there's a snail situation that's in there, and I'll actually, you know, we'll get to that. But anyway, let's do it. So before the decor could be prepped, I had to prep that which the decor was going in. And it began with the tank, obviously. A used tank that was still dirty. So I removed the gravel, and right here you can see the remnants of it as I'm cleaning it. And I put just enough water in it to the point where I could just siphon it out. And I ran into an issue with that in a second. But essentially I used that water to wash the sides, get all the calcium deposits off and whatnot. And then I started to, after I was done with all the walls, I decided to start siphoning. But the problem was there was no head pressure. So with that being said, I just decided to use the pump. And I was kind of skeptical about it after I started it, just because it was making some funny noises, as it always does to get started. Being the first time, I was a little bit worried about particles going through it. So I'm pretty sure these things are durable, but there was some smell going on because it was just starting up, like it was the first time being used. So there were things getting hot in there that hadn't been getting hot, and so things melted. But things are okay now. It doesn't smell or anything anymore. It was just like that kind of break-in mode for an outboard engine or something. So that's the water that you see here in this clip whenever we're lifting it. This was in one of my prior videos. Next came the sand. So I bought 4 bags, 25 pounds of this aqua quartz sand from Amazon. I've used it before, it's really awesome, and I used this bucket to clean it. Essentially, it's 1 pound per gallon standard footprint, and I'm using this bucket to wash it 4 times. So essentially what you do is you just get your 2 bags max in this kind of bucket, and it's not the huge bucket, but it's decent. And then you wash it 4 times, and then you tip over the bucket, and you do it to where you don't let sand out. You just let the particulates that are suspended in the water go ahead and float out. Then you tip it back up and repeat the process 4 times. That's how I prepare my substrate. So along with the sand, you also have the hardscape, which consisted of rocks, which didn't need very much prep, but then came the wood. And then you also have the plants. I'll consider the plants in there because this will all be handled with this one take. But essentially, I just soaked the plants and the wood. I would have soaked other wood for a few days for it to sink, depending on the wood. This thing took forever to sink. This was in my old tank, which has snails on it. See, these are snails. I had an infestation, so I had to I had to destroy them with the chlorine from the tap water. So I just let this thing sit in here with the plants and all from my old tank to eradicate the snail population for 3 days. I messed up. I should have put ferts because my plants faltered from it, but it got rid of all the snails. I didn't even need to do it that long, honestly. That's how I handle my plant and wood situation. So next came the fun part. At first, the occupants were the Corydoras just to be guinea pigs, although they did have the bacteria colony from the discus already. I just put them in there at first just to see what would happen, and they did fine. And then after that, so began the Aquascape. And I'll just let it play out from here because it's pretty self-explanatory. All I was trying to do essentially was create a bigger version of what I had in my 90 with one long piece and one tall piece because I was preserving my trunk from the right side of my tank, but the arc was being replaced by these two pieces of wood that you'll see being placed at the beginning. Enjoy. Okay, so this is what we have so far. I can't finish the hardscape because the stump that used to be there is soaking right now to kill all the snails and whatnot that are on it, along with all the plants. But for the most part, this is what it's going to look like, and I'm very happy with it. Now I'm going to put plants in it, and we'll see how that goes. That should be fun. I have an idea of what I want. I want to put the Pondigeton right there, and I'll put, I didn't get any crypt, I got some dwarf sage and a couple of other, one Anubias and something else, so we'll figure it out. Should be fun. So this is what I came up with. I am happy with it. This looks pretty good. Got my little plants everywhere. Crypts are awesome. Need a red crypt. I don't have one. So I got that guy and that guy for a little bit of red in there, but I'll wear this one right here. Put the canopy on. Let's see what it's about. What it says. A good tank. What makes a good tank? Being able to sit in the dark.